So you know the saying, poke the bear and you'll get the claws? Well, what do you think you'll get when you tangle with a lady who's armed to the teeth? In today's wild and crazy world, it's increasingly important for women to start arming themselves. And let's be clear, this isn't about how you spark a shootout. It's about how you even the odds. Empowerment and being prepared should be non-negotiables. So why should women consider arming themselves? Because a firearm is the great leveler when you're up against a threat. Big Blue wasn't fooling around when they named one of their pistols the Equalizer. Then again, all guns are equalizers. In this video, we'll showcase some epic showdowns where a strong woman with a gun turned the tables on the bad guy. Number 1, 10 Hours of Hell. In a quiet Idaho neighborhood, 85-year-old Christine Janine's night took a terrifying turn when a deranged psycho by the name of Derek Ephraim Condon broke into her home. The guy was wearing a military jacket and black ski mask. This horrifying incident unfolded in Bingham County when Condon violently attacked and handcuffed Janine. Despite the brutal assault, she managed to access her .357 Magnum revolver and shoot Condon in the chest, ultimately ending the threat he posed. Condon, not going down without a fight, shot Janine multiple times before succumbing to his injuries. The courageous octogenarian was left shot and handcuffed for nearly 10 hours. Her ordeal only ended when her son awoke and she could call for help. She was rushed to the hospital and remarkably is expected to recover. This random and violent encounter has shaken the community, highlighting both the vulnerability and the resilience of its residents. Bingham County Prosecutor Ryan Jolly praised Janine's grit, determination, and will to live, which he believes were crucial in her survival. The local sheriff's department is still investigating the incident, but what's clear is that Christine Janine's quick thinking and her Magnum revolver saved her life that harrowing night. Number 2, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. In Oklahoma, a young widow named Sarah Dawn McKinney had to make a tough decision when a man broke into her home looking for prescription drugs that had belonged to her recently deceased husband. Sarah's husband had died of cancer on Christmas Day, leaving her alone with her 3-year-old son, Justin, and his leftover cancer medications.
911. There's a guy at my door. I'm here by myself with my infant baby. Can I please get a dispatcher out here immediately?
Okay, hold on. Just hang with me a second. Are your doors locked?
Yes, I've got 2 guns in my hand. Is it okay to shoot him if he comes in the store?
Well, you have to do whatever you can do to protect yourself. I can't tell you that you can do that, but you do what you have to do to protect your baby. Is he trying to get in the door?
He just keeps knocking.
Okay, all right. Do you have like a alarm on your car that you could set off with your remote control that might scare him and get him away?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, babe. Hold on just a second. I think you are in the Blanchard Police Department.
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm going to transfer you over to Blanchard Police Department. They will get to you quicker anyway, okay? So hang with me. Do not hang up, okay?
Okay.
Can you give me a description while we're waiting? Can you give me a description of the man? I mean, could you see him?
I just looked through the door, the hole of the door. He's been here now twice.
Okay.
He's got one chair.
He's got what?
He's got orange hair.
Orange hair. Okay, hang on just a second.
That we just called you out on?
Shots fired at the call.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am.
Shots fired. Blanchard Police are announcing. Do you have people on the scene?
They are en route.
They're en route. Well, we have a deputy en route also.
Yes.
How do you, ma'am?
It's a shooting.
You better tell him there's been shots fired at that residence, Blanchard Police.
Breaking into the home.
Okay. Ma'am?
Are you there? Yes.
Hey, how did you discover that there had been shots fired?
I was on the line with the young lady.
Do you think she was the one who did it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. She has. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Justin Shane Martin, a friend of Sarah's late husband who is struggling with addiction to prescription drugs, had been missing for some time. This made Sarah suspicious that someone might try to break into her home. Martin knew about her husband's death and guessed there might still be drugs in the house. He tried to enter the house once during the funeral but left when he saw other people there. However, he came back on New Year's Day, this time with a 12-inch hunting knife, and broke in. Sarah called 911 as soon as she realized what was happening and armed herself with a 12-gauge shotgun. When Martin came into the room, she shot and killed him. The police later confirmed that Sarah acted in self-defense and wouldn't face any charges. Number 3, shot in the gut by Granny. Ethel Jones, a 69-year-old widow and mother of 4 from Alabama, shot an intruder trying to break into her home late one night, and her actions quickly made her a sensation online. Jones was in her bathroom when she heard noises at both her back and front doors. Thinking someone was trying to break in, she grabbed the snub-nosed .38 special revolver she kept under her pillow and stayed alert for any further activity. The situation escalated when the intruder removed a window air conditioner to enter her house. Jones fired 3 shots as soon as she saw him, causing the intruder to run away injured. The suspect, 18-year-old Michael Bynum, who lived less than a mile from Jones, gained a tough lesson from the risk of invading the home of an armed senior. After being shot, he managed to escape, but not for long. He was later found at a hospital with a gunshot wound to his abdomen and was arrested by the police on charges of second-degree burglary. Despite never having used her gun before, Jones successfully defended herself with her snubby. Number 4, septuagenarian wheel gunner. In Southern California, a 72-year-old woman named Jan Cooper found herself in a terrifying situation when a man tried to break into her home while she and her 85-year-old husband were inside. Without hesitation, Cooper grabbed her .357 Magnum revolver and fired a single shot at the intruder who was attempting to enter through a sliding door. During the heart-pounding ordeal, Cooper made sure the 911 dispatcher knew she was armed, with her Rottweiler adding some backup noise in the background. Peeking through the vertical blinds, Cooper saw the intruder's silhouette just inches away from the glass as he tried to slide the door open. She didn't waste a second calling 911 and warning the intruder to back off. When he didn't listen, she yelled at him that she was about to shoot, and she followed through. Worried she might have hit him, she pleaded with the dispatcher to send deputies ASAP.
357 Magnum 2.5-inch barrel. I do know how to use it. But I'm old and feeble now. Uh-oh. I have no idea what's happening, but I don't like the sound of that dog. They're in our yard. I'm firing. Back up, you son of a...
Responding deputies arrived moments after the incident and arrested the suspect, Brandon Alexander Perez, who pleaded not guilty to burglary charges. Authorities revealed that Perez had a history of burglary and narcotics offenses and was on parole, living in a halfway house near the Cooper's home. Cooper's firearm, which she had owned for 2 decades, was legally purchased and registered. The sheriff emphasized that things could have ended much worse if Cooper hadn't acted to protect herself and her husband. Number 5, pregnant mom's last stand. In Ashtabula, Ohio, a harrowing situation unfolded for a mother of 2 who was also pregnant at the time. When 2 intruders attempted to force their way into her home, initially, the woman whose name has been withheld tried to block their entry. However, the intruders were persistent and managed to break down her back door, making their way up the stairs towards where she and her children were. With no time to spare and her family's safety at stake, she acted quickly. She retrieved her handgun, confronted the intruders, and fired, hitting one of them. This brave action effectively scared them off. Immediately after, she dialed 911 and the police responded quickly. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The police arrived on the scene and were able to apprehend the injured intruder who was attempting to escape. Fortunately, she had access to that handgun, which played a crucial role in her ability to defend her family. The captured intruder was later identified as 33-year-old Morgan Shane Mesco, a man with a history of criminal behavior that included prior arrests for drug offenses and theft. He was subsequently charged with burglary and attempted burglary, among other offenses. Number 6, home and hound defender. Right out of Dunn, North Carolina, there's this lady who went from never using a firearm to standing her ground to protect her home and her beloved dog. Her name's Tarika McAllister. Here's the scene. She woke up to her dog freaking out in a huge commotion. She found a guy named Malik Giles in her house, not just stealing her stuff, but actually trying to take her dog. No way she was going to let that happen. She yelled at him to leave, but he ignored her. That's when she grabbed her gun, which she'd actually never used before, and took matters into her own hands. Giles ended up with a couple of gunshot wounds for his troubles and a direct ticket to the hospital. His next stop? Jail, with a bond set at $75,000 for first-degree burglary and possession of stolen property. What's wild is this wasn't the first time someone tried to pull this on her. Just a few weeks earlier, another intruder tried the same stunt. Number 7, Texan mom versus intruder. In Edinburgh, Texas, a mom earned major props from the Hidalgo County Sheriff for standing her ground against an intruder while her kids were with her in the bedroom. The would-be burglar, Carlos Garcia, thought he could sneak into a home through the garage, but he didn't know who he was dealing with. The mom quickly secured herself and her children in the bedroom and warned Garcia that the police were on their way and that she was armed. Garcia didn't take the hint. When he kept trying to break into the room, the mom didn't hesitate. She fired through the door, hitting him in the arm with a single shot. Garcia bolted, but he didn't get far. Deputies found him just 100 yards away, holding his injured arm. After a quick stop for medical care, he was off to Hidalgo County Adult Detention Center. Number 8, gun versus perv. In Clearwater, Florida, a woman was thrust into a life or death situation when an intruder entered her home early Tuesday morning, leading to a tragic outcome. The Clearwater Police Department reported receiving a distress call from a woman who was shocked awake to find a man in her bedroom. The situation quickly turned violent when the intruder, identified as 26-year-old Justin William Wright, began assaulting her. In a desperate bid for safety, she managed to grab her gun and fatally shot Wright. The incident took place at her residence on Flagler Drive, where she hadn't lived for very long. Chief Dan Slaughter addressed the emotional impact of such incidents at a press briefing, emphasizing the distress of being forced into such a dire situation. Complicating matters, it turns out Wright was the woman's neighbor, though it's unclear if they had previous interactions. Number 9, Chinese granny unalives drunk. In Stanislaus County, a commotion late one Saturday night prompted a homeowner in Patterson to grab her revolver as her husband tried to hold off a drunk intruder from barging into their home. The incident drew police attention to Ashwood Lane following a call from a neighbor. She reported in limited English that she had shot an intruder. Upon arrival, police found a man motionless at the front door and quickly secured the area. After ensuring everyone's safety and clearing the house, they began piecing together what happened. From what surveillance footage and eyewitness accounts indicated, 22-year-old Angelo Santana, who was heavily intoxicated, had attempted to force his way into the home. Homeowners Yui Zhang and Yang Luan were forced to defend themselves. Yang confronted Santana right at the door, managed to fend him off with minor injuries. Yuhui, who had only recently taken to keeping a gun, took decisive action to protect her husband, firing all rounds from her revolver at Santana. No arrests have been made, as it appears Yui was acting in defense of her home, particularly since Santana was unarmed. Known for his drunken antics, Santana typically roamed the neighborhood seeking friends after drinking too much. Number 10, Milwaukee mom's brave encounter. And finally, there's this mom from Milwaukee who's just taken a shower, minding her own business, when suddenly her kids, aged 12 and 14, start screaming from the living room. She doesn't hesitate for a second, jumps out of the shower, grabs her gun from the bedroom, and runs into the hallway to face the intruder. Now get this. Her 2 pit bulls were already attacking the guy, but he was still putting up a fight. So she did what she felt was necessary. She shot him multiple times. Her neighbors are calling her a hero now. The mom described the intruder as a man in his late 30s who was acting really erratic. The Milwaukee police have been pretty tight-lipped about the whole situation. They brought her in for questioning but released her a few hours later. Looks like this case is going to the district attorney's office for review. Here's a wild fact. The mom originally bought the gun 10 years ago after she found a stranger sleeping under her son's bed. Super creepy, right? She always hoped she wouldn't have to use it, but she knew she could if it meant keeping her kids safe.